This week, a viral drinking game that has already caused 5 tragic deaths. We'll find out why the world is so fascinated. We'll go behind the scenes on a whiskey television commercial that's making consumers weep. And why would the South African Bureau of Standards embark on an expensive advertising campaign? First up, this week the world watches South African Olympic athlete Oscar Pistorius begin his fight to stay out of jail. Allied to this has been a major precedent-setting legal decision that will allow a gavel-to-gavel audio feed as well as parts of the murder trial to be broadcast live on television. So we start this week with 3 views on the decision and why it's important for the media freedom debate as well as open justice.
This is a recognition by the courts that you have to take broadcasting seriously in the modern communication age. And whether you like it or not, there will be live commentary in forms of social media on trials. Journalists will be able to sit in court and tweet in real time. And so effectively, the cat's out the bag anyway. We've reached a very good judgment in terms of the fact that there was a compromise between the media houses and the courts as to how we would approach the conundrum of witness testimony.
The judge saying that broadcast of a celebrity trial, which this obviously is, might go a long way to address misconceptions about the justice system. Very quickly, what do you think he meant?
There's been many instances where the South African criminal justice system has been lambasted, and I think what Judge Malamba means in this regard is that for all the right reasons, the world will be able to see that we do have a system that lives up to international standards by all accounts and can rub shoulders with the best systems in the world.
And the other one, very quickly, he also warned against a trial by media and said the court could be the only place where Oscar Pistorius is tried. So in spite of the fact that the media has won this compromise, they still need to be very careful and judicious in their approach.
Yes, irrespective of the media coverage, the judge who presides over the matter will ultimately have the say as to the probative value of the evidence that's admitted. In other words, the weight to be attached to the evidence that's admitted. And Oscar Pistorius will hopefully be convicted on the evidence that's admitted before the judge or acquitted for that matter, and not on the basis of media coverage.
Well, for me, it really is a quantum leap in our jurisprudence on open justice. Because what it does is it takes the open justice principle, which is, of course, time-honored, and it adapts that to modern times. And it says that just as every member of the public would have the right, in theory, to walk into a court and sit and watch the court case, barring children's cases and things like that, what this does is it allows the public to get first-hand accounts in the way that the majority of our citizens consume news, which is via radio and television.
All right, just for the sake of clarity, what will we be able to see on our television screens and what is going to be excluded?
So the audio of the trial will be broadcast live, and that's the entire trial, including all witness testimony, both the state's witnesses and Oscar's witnesses, and Oscar himself, if he testifies. In relation to television, the compromise that has been reached, which largely follows the NPA's agreement, which it reached with the media applicants, was that television of the opening and closing arguments will be broadcast, the judgment will be broadcast on television, and also the state's experts will be broadcast, and the police and former police witnesses for the state. Any other state witness has the right to object to being broadcast on television, and then that objection will be dealt with by the presiding judge.
And please look out for our special report in coming weeks on how the media is covering the trial. Well, let's move to advertising now. The South African Bureau of Standards has launched a new above-the-line campaign that wants to connect to consumers by reminding them that SABS-approved products are all around us. Iggy Sathekge speaks for the SABS and joins us now. Welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. No disrespect, but essentially the SABS, it's an invisible or fairly invisible service organization. Why do you feel the need to advertise?
I think if you look at how companies build their brands, it's important. SABS has been around for the last 60 years, and we can't take for granted that in the last 60 years, South Africans know us. So it becomes important for us to go and reconnect as well with South Africans.
So heritage is a critical part of your brand proposition, but it's a difficult concept, selling something or telling people about something that no one can actually see, but they derive huge benefit.
Absolutely. I think if you look at the work that we do, and in this particular instance, this ad, we do quite a lot of work with the industry, but the impact is felt in our households. And we wanted to actually remind South Africans that we have actually taken your products through the South African Bureau of Standard laboratories around the country.
Is the call to action that you want consumers to go into a store and look for an SABS approved mark?
Absolutely. I think what we want to do here is to say or remind South Africans that when you pick a product on the shelf which is SABS approved, you have to have that assurance that it has been put through the paces and it's fit for purpose, and therefore you can buy it with confidence.
I'm interested to say that the space within which you work has become more competitive. Is that starting to erode into your effectiveness?
Absolutely, and I think the world has changed quite dramatically, and therefore SABS also needs to look into that, and it becomes important as well to play into making sure that we're in the face of our consumers and our companies that we work with and the industries overall.
All right, so what, very briefly, was your brief to the advertising agency?
We wanted to get South Africans in an emotive way to connect with SABS, to remind them where we come from. We're a truly South African company. We've been around for the last couple of years, 60 years, odd years, and therefore the products that they have should remind South Africans that we have actually tested their products and therefore they need to feel comfortable with those products.
All right, let me tell you what my criticism with the ad is, that it's well textured, it's well shot, it's beautifully crafted, it has that warmth and emotion that you're talking about. But at every juncture we see these little standards numbers coming up. I would put to you and to the SABS that most consumers have no idea what that actually means. You're confusing us.
Absolutely. I think for an average consumer that is a situation that confuses them, to say what is this numbers all about. And that's the reaction that we got from most of the people that have seen the ad. But for industry players or owners of different sectors and companies, it makes sense to them. They can relate to them. They know that if they need to purchase a standard, that is the number that they need to look at.
The full ad, by the way, is on our Facebook page. Go and have a look at it and tell us what you think. Now, we always celebrate good ideas on the program, and this one is right up there. The global courier company DHL stealing a march on its competitors with this amazing concept. As you're going to see, the company painted large packages with temperature-activated paint and hired their competitors to deliver them. As the packages heated out, a hidden message was revealed, and the rest is the brand ambush of the year.
In many countries, DHL has more locations, more vehicles, and more employees. That's why DHL is faster. However, to communicate this with a classic advertising campaign is expensive. So why couldn't the competitors advertise for DHL? For that purpose, giant packages were taped all over with thermoactive foil and cooled down below the freezing point. In this way, the competitors picked up a black package that transformed back at temperatures above freezing and delivered the message in the most beautiful colors to addresses in the city that were not that easy to find. After all, they were paid reasonably. The result, an innovative way to communicate. And everyone played along. Well, almost everyone. Thank you very much.
Well, you can comment on the idea on our Facebook page. The address is on the screen. And coming up on the program, we're going to look at a viral drinking game that has taken the world by storm, an academy for female advertising students, and McCann Health's Global Creative Director, Jeremy Perrow, on creativity and marketing medicine.
It Moves, eNCA.com.